Hi there, welcome to this video. So in this video, I want to be showing us how to create this collapsible text table in Tableau. You have this text table and you want it expanded and collapsed this way. How do you go about doing that in Tableau? So I've connected to my sample EU Superstore dataset, and here it is. I'm using the orders table, just a single table, and I'll come to the sheets that I'll be working on. So basically, I've been able to create those calculated field and everything we'll be needing. So I'll walk us through end to end. Now, if you've connected to your data source, what you need to do next is to create a group. A group will help you have a subset within it. So you'll be able to link some of the products or some of the subsets to the main field. So you can use any of the field that has, a lot of values. So in my own case, I decided to use the product name. So because I'm using a single table for this illustration, so I just want to use this single data set. So you go to that grouping or any data field you want to use that grouping to display, the category. Sometimes it can be category or subcategory, but I decided to use just a single data set just to create a very wide scenario. So come to product name. If you want to create a group, come to the arrow by the side. You can see that there's always an arrow beside it. For example, if I want to create a group from segments, I click on that and I come to create, and I come in here and I do the grouping within the numbers. So what you just need to do is to select multiple values within it, and you click on group and you give it a name as you wish, and you can name the group as well. So what I did is to come to product name, and I came into the same place. I clicked on group and it brought out. So I decided to group everything within binder. So you hold down your shift key and select as much value as you want. So once that is done, you come to group and you see this highlighted. You can type in whatever you wish the name of the group is, and you can also give it a descriptive name if you just want it to be more explicit. Now I'll cancel that, and that's how I've been able to create this binder group. Okay, binder is not too appropriate, but we can give it a different name as we wish. Because we are binder and clamps, I can just say products groups, because we have more than binder groups in there. So I've been able to categorize everything within binder and everything within clamps, just to give us that subset. So now I've been able to create the product group and it's arranged alphabetically. Now when you bring it into your visualization, this is where it appears. So for example, if I create another sheet and I bring in that grouping into our view, where is it again? This is it, and this is what it's going to show. And you can say add all members. It's still going to show all the members, but however, you will need to filter to the level you want to see, the groups you want to see. And that's what brought about me saying I just want to filter based on the groups I've created. So I would look for binder and I will select that group and also look for clamps, and it's going to just display that. And so this is the purpose of illustration. So we have just those two groups, and that's what you will be using for your visualization to expand. So let's go to sheet 1, and this is what we have. And you can see we have other sheets or data fields in there in our view, which are calculated fields. So again, we'll be needing 3 calculated fields for this illustration and 1 parameter. So we'll go ahead to create our parameter, and we will also touch how we've been able to create these 3 calculated fields in our visualization. Again, this is the same parameter we'll be creating, and profit is just to show is a data field there. It's not a calculated field, just to show our profit. So again, if you want to put in profit for this binder, all you need to do, you see the ABC here, it's going to take that space and you drop it in here, and for analytics purposes you may want to see the total of the column, and you also may want to see subtotal as the case may be. So when we come to the sheet, we will create our parameters. So sheet 1 will help us. So again, to create parameter, come in here and click create parameter. So our parameter will be a string type. It's not going to have any value in there. So I can just erase this, make a string, give it the name you want, and make it all, and that's it. So the first calculated field we'll be creating will be the arrow that you see in here. So I will show us what I have already created. So I named the selected arrow. So the first calculated field is a selected arrow. So what this does is to say, if the parameter is empty, then I want it to be this. So this is collapsed. This should always show by default. And I expect my parameter to be empty by default. And else, if that parameter contains anything in this group with this name, that's binder and clamps, then give it this. So again, if this parameter has this value, it should show this. That means for any reason this parameter has this value, is already expanded. The user has already clicked on it or made that selection. So how do we make sure that this parameter has values in there? That will bring us to the next calculated field that we will be discussing. So I will come to the second calculated field, which is selection. Yeah, selection for dashboard selection. Yeah, that's it. Again, you can give it any name you want. It's just for me to be able to remember. So this is what passes the value to the parameter, and which is our second calculated field. And that is what will be triggered by our dashboard action. So we're going to be implementing a dashboard action when we create our dashboard. So again, this calculated field has this. So if the parameter contains any value within the product group, then replace it with the value of the product group with an empty string. So again, once the selection is done, or once the click is triggered by the user, we expect the dashboard action to update the parameter with the value of the selection, which will be the product group. Okay, we expect this to be clicked. So if the second selection is done, that is when it's going to check with this statement and replace it with whatever the second selection is. So if the second selection is done on that same thing, it should just remove it and make it empty. Else, if it's not a second selection, if it's a new selection, for example, if it's clamps that was selected, replace it with, add clamps to it. Okay, so we expect one value of this to always be in the parameter per time. Else, make sure you add the new one to it, and that's where you see the plus sign. Whatever is in there, add it to it. So that's what the calculated field does. So this calculated field will be what will be updating our parameter once the parameter action is implemented. We'll see how that works in a bit. So this is our second calculated field. Now we'll go to the third calculated field, which is the selected field display. And this all just simply gives us the value of our subsets, the product name, the broken down value. So once it sees, if our selected arrow is this, give us the product name. We don't want anything detailed. Or if it's otherwise, which is V1, expanded one, should give us the product name. So that's what this does, and that's why it's important we use this rather than using product name, so that it can communicate with the rest of the calculated fields. Now we'll be able to create 3 calculated fields, and it's a parameter, so we need to implement the dashboard action. But before that, we'll bring all those calculated fields into our views, and it's going to look this way. Now we create our dashboard. We create it here by just clicking this icon, and it's going to look like this when you pull it into your dashboard. So come to dashboard, but before you come to dashboard action, also make sure you have all the parameter in your details. You don't need it in the view, because if you don't have it there, the dashboard action may not be able to communicate with this. And our calculated field is also in the view, so these two need to communicate. So this updates this parameter, and this fits the rest of the calculated fields. So that's how it's going to work. So let's come to dashboard actions. You come to dashboard at the top, click on actions and select add action, and this is the change parameter action. So we want to be changing the parameter based on our selection. And so this is what it looks like. We select our sheet, which is the default sheet, select the parameter action, and it selects the source field, which is the calculated field. Select action, run over, select, and keep current value. All right, cool. So this is what it does, and we say okay. Once our user clicks on this, all right, it runs that dashboard action based on the selection. By running for dashboard, it checks if, let's just display the parameter, what is in there. Let's see our parameter. So this is what is inside our parameter binder, because it's been selected. It runs it because it's empty. It checks if it's in there. If it's not, put it there. If it is, that is, if the second selection replaces with empty string, and that's what's implemented. All right. Else, if, for example, it clicks this because it's not there, and it clicks another one, which is clamps, you can see that it just attached. That's where it's adding the addition sign, is adding to the content of the parameter. And this does what it does. This also does what it does. So this is a calculator field, changes, checks. Let's see the selected arrow again. So it checks whatever is in our parameter and see if it's empty. If it's not empty, if it contains the group, it changes it. So based on that logic, you can say, oh, selection has been done, selection has not been done, and just toggles the arrow. And once this fits, because this relies, the second one or the third parameter or calculated field, sorry, relies on the value of this one. Once it sees this, it displays this. Once it sees this, it displays this. All right, so once another selection is done, and which is this, the user does not, this parameter is empty, this gives us this as well. So again, we've been able to implement our collapsible texts table within Tableau with this method. If you have other methods to use this or to implement this, put it in the comment section. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.